Happy Pride Month, everyone! I hope you all are doing great this summer. It's me, your local non-binary robo enthusiast, giving you all the latest buzz on the bots. Today I've got something special for you trans fans, and I do mean that in a queer way. So Transformers always had a long history with smaller 3 3/4 inch scale toys with a wide variety of labels. It seems nowadays they're called Core Class, beginning in the Kingdom toy line, giving us mini versions of classic G1 favorites, new characters, and Beast Boys. And I was so happy to discover that Legacy was going to be continuing these because their track record has been super good. How's about we invest in some iguana drama with Legacy Iguanus?
Pretenders hide the Transformers inside.
Laying down some background, Iguanus was part of the Pretenders, a group of Transformers whose robot modes could hide in an outer shell so they could disguise as native organic life forms. You remember the human college girl Transformer from Revenge of the Fallen? That was a reference to this concept.
Okay, what were you saying?
Now, I don't know about you, but if I saw a giant purple lizard walking down the street, I'd probably be too shy to say anything. But even looking beyond that, it does sort of seem like this is a nonsense gimmick. It's just sort of redundant since the whole Transformers thing already revolves around disguises, which is probably why this newer figure is more of a tribute to that original toy rather than a full-on remake of it. It's just a robot that turns into a vehicle, and that's all it needs to be. So let's see what this little herbivore has in store. Immediately, this figure is really unique with how the robot mode is less blocky and more animal inspired. You can see it in the Tyranno toes and the subtle scales on their head. Speaking of which, this just has so much character packed into this tiny plastic piece with the sharp, mischievous grimace, the shark-like forehead fin, and the spikes poking out the sides. Also adore me some yellow eyes on a Transformer. The colors work off each other super well with the intriguing mix of purple, raspberry red, and a goldish, bronzish shine. And this succeeds so nicely in integrating the alt mode into the robot with these completely satisfying Windblade-like wheel wings. It's also easy to get lost in how different Iguanus comes across from other G1 characters. A lot of it looks like they're wearing robotic armor of sorts for protection, a bit like a Pretender's shell. This armor element definitely comes through with bits like the chest's multi-layered red undershirt and the curved, detailed, shiny plating. Can't ignore the arm-mounted Batman-like bracelet spikes, and the back is actually pretty clean looking with the white windshield and the long tail. Plus, there is a weapon port, so you're free to stack some slammer legs on the back, making up for the doofy weapon they actually come with. Oh, speaking of which, this weapon really is the only thing about the robot mode I'm not loving. I really don't know what it's supposed to be. Apparently this is meant to combine with Legacy Skywarp and Hot Rod's weapons to form this sword with a massive hilt, which sounds interesting. But as a single piece, it sort of doesn't look like anything. At least it has a hole on both sides, so it can conceivably be a blaster. I mean, it's fine. It's not hurting the toy by any means. You just have to use your imagination a bit. Plus, this looks more like a weapon than Skywarp's tuning fork. I'm just so impressed how, in the grand scheme of things, this robot mode does just as good a job as toys multiple times its price point. They have the look, the posability, the personality, and the fun factor with all the wild weirdness emitting from this character. Rocking the reptile style. Transforming Iguanus feels very logical and very entertaining. Below the waist is basically just rotating everything 180 degrees. I'm a fan of how the tires move around and splay out. And just like that, Iguanus morphs into this little space bike. There's a lot to love here, like the front section's big proud Decepticon symbol on the white windshield between the super attractive red-pink sections, and the similarly colored wheels are thick enough to balance the bike upwards if you're willing to spare yourself a bit of patience. I suppose there is a humanoid form doing extreme back-breaking yoga if you're really looking for it, like how the arms are pretty much just right there grabbing the front tire. But big deal! This thing costs $12, it's amazing that it looks as great as it does. You can sort of situate another core class figure on it a bit, but it's clear this toy wasn't exactly made for that. But that's not quite what this thing is about. It's a fun, cute little space motorcycle. It's pretty adorable, and overall a very pleasing alt mode for such a simple bot. This really is such a great little figure, and despite its size and price point, it doesn't feel like there are any compromises made for budgetary reasons. These core class figures have been so consistently good. I've gotten several, and for the most part, they're endlessly charming. I mean it, Legacy Skywarp is one of my favorite toys of the year so far. And I love how he released alongside another purple Decepticon icon with Iguanus. I'd be completely okay if core class was just a standard thing in Transformers from now on. I think it's fair to say that Iguanus has totally won me over. Absolutely fun to fiddle with, and 2 ultra satisfying modes. I think it's so cool that there are several Transformers on shelves now as good as this for barely over $10. What can I say? I just love me some short legends. So now, in celebration of Pride Month, I want to give some mentions to the Trevor Project and the National LGBTQ Task Force. I'll have donation links in the description of this video. Please consider donating if you're able to, or at least look into the organizations and the important work they do. On a pretty serious note, if I may, things in the United States really have not been doing too good for the LGBT community if you've been keeping up with the news. This is so much bigger than Transformers or any of our own personal robot fandoms, so please consider doing what you can if you're able. Help leave the world a better place than you found it. It would mean a ton. So thank you for listening, thank you for watching, and thank you for being you. Till all are one and all that good stuff.